ladies and gentlemen, we're taking a look at lesson 2.2, which is angle bisectors. So some of this should look quite familiar because we've done this idea of segment bisectors. So now we're just applying these ideas, these properties from segments to angles. So our goal is to bisect an angle. So our vocabulary here, an angle bisector is a ray. And that's all that we're going to bisect with is a ray. And it divides an angle into two angles that are congruent. Remember, congruent means equal. And our notation for congruent is the equal sign with the line above it. So I'm going to write that a little bit easier for you guys. Equal. All right. Let's take a look at what our examples look like. So we know that ray BD, so we have this ray BD, bisects angle ABC. So here's what we have going on. And we know that ABC is 110. Notice our arc goes from left to right, fills the whole thing in. So we know the whole angle is 110 degrees. So they want us to find the measure of angle ABD. So they want me to find ABD. And then they want me to find angle DBC. So they're letting me find the two halves. So here's how we find our solution. Since ray BD bisects angle ABC, we know that the measure of ABD is half of a measure of angle ABC. So if ABD equals 1/2 times the measure of ABC, we know that that's going to be 1/2 times the 110 degrees. So we're just doing substitution from what we understand here. So we're going to do 1/2 times 110, which is 55 degrees. And because we know that those two angles are congruent, we know that their measures are equal. So angle DBC and angle ABD equal 55 degrees. So if I'm given the entire angle and I'm asked to find the two angles that are created by the bisector, I'm just dividing by 2. So let's take a look at our checkpoint. Pause, and let's work this out. So we need to find our given angles. So I know HK is the bisector in each of these. So HK is the bisector. And it bisects the big angle, GHJ. They want me to find angle GHK, the measure of that, and they want me to find the measure of angle KHJ. Well, if my entire angle is 32, I take half of that, so 1/2 times 32, or you can simply do 32 divided by 2, but we get 16 degrees for both of those. HK is the bisector, GHJ is my big angle, and I know it's 90 degrees from that. So the measure of angle GHK and the measure of angle KHJ is 1/2 times 90, or as we said, you can do 90 divided by 2, but when we do that, we get two complementary angles that are both 45 degrees. You can always check your answers. Do these add to give you 90? 45 plus 45 does equal 90. HK is the bisector. GHJ is your angle, so I'm finding the measure of angle GHK and the measure of angle KHJ. I can take 1/2 times this whole angle of 161, or 161 divided by 2. It looks like we're going to get a decimal there, and that's okay because they're equal halves. So this is 80.5 degrees for both of those. So going back to small, ladies and gentlemen, we are simply going to divide by 2. Alright, so let's take a look at example 2. Hopefully you're anticipating what this is. Now what we're going to have, ladies and gentlemen, is we're going to have part of our angle. We're going to know our angle bisector, our new angles that are created, and what we're trying to do is find the larger angle. So we know MO bisects angle LMN, and we know that angle LMO is 46 degrees. So what they want us to do is to they want us to find the measures of angle OMN and LMN. So OMN, I'm sorry, and the measures of should be LMO, there's a typo in your book, guys. And then we need to determine whether they're acute, right, straight, or obtuse. So, since MO bisects LMN, we know LMO is equal to OMN. So once we find one of these angles, we found the other. So the measure of OMN equals LMO, and that is 46 degrees. Actually, no, they have it. This is supposed to be LMN. Thank you, guys. It is not a typo in your book. So I know LMO and OMN now are both 46 degrees. Since LMN is twice the measure of LMO, I know it's twice that measure. We know LMN is 2 times the measurement of LMO. So 2 times 46 degrees is going to give me 92 degrees. Because LMN is going to be an obtuse angle, because its measure is between 90 and 180. As soon as we get larger than 90, we know that it's obtuse. So once they give you one of the smaller angles, they're going to ask you to make sure that you know that it's the other small angle is equivalent to it, is equal, is congruent, and then you're going to double that angle measurement to get the big angle. Great, so pause so you can work at your checkpoints, 4, 5, and 6. I have a bisector QS of angle PQR. I know that I need to find the measure of angle SQP, the small angle, and then I need to find that measure of angle PQR, the large angle. This is a 29-degree angle, so my other small angle is going to be 29. The big angle is going to be double that, so it's 58 degrees. I need to classify this, and it's going to be classified as acute. I know that this is my angle bisector. I'm looking for the measure of angle SQP and the measure of the large angle PQR. If this is 45, that means my other angle is 45. And to double that, I get 90 for the large angle. 90 degrees is a right angle. And here, guys, we kind of get into a pattern. What I want to warn you about, ladies and gentlemen, is make sure you're always reading. All right? Highlight what they give you. This is 60 degrees. That means this angle here is 60 degrees. We double that, we get 120 degrees. And so because we're classifying angle PQR, that would be considered obtuse. All right, now what we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen, is use some algebra there. So I know RQ bisects PRS, find the value of x. So by this definition of a bisector, I know that angle P, this should be PRQ, sorry guys, PRQ, that's what's in your book, PRQ is congruent, is equal to the measure of QRS. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is substitute in those given angle measures. PRQ is 6x plus 1. That equals my 85 degrees. We're going to then subtract 1 from each side to undo that adding 1. And so we get 6x. We simplify. 85 minus 1 is going to give me 84. We are then going to divide each side by 6 to finish up our algebra. It hasn't been so long. And then we simplify. 84 divided by 6 gives us 14. And because we were asked to find the value of x, it is just 14. It's not an angle measurement. It is just 14. So your follow-up, ladies and gentlemen, is to take your value of x and substitute it into the original equation to determine whether it actually is a solution. And so we'll take a look at that tomorrow in class and figure out how do we check these. So we're going to check in class, okay, your follow-up. And there are checkpoints, guys. As soon as I know BD is a bisector, and hopefully you're pausing, I'm taking my 2 angles, so in this case x plus 2, and I'm setting it equal to my other angle, which in this case is 55. I'm going to undo the algebra, so undo adding 12 by subtracting 12, and I get x is equal to 43. There's no degrees, it's just 43. And then when we take a look at our next one, I have my angle bisector. I have my angle bisector for the ray. I know that 9x is equal to 8x plus 3, that quantity. Now the difference here, ladies and gentlemen, is it's not a constant that I have on this left-hand side. I have a variable. So your step has to be to move the variable. You're not always going to subtract the constant. Sometimes you have to move the variable. So yeah, x is equal to 3. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we will see you in class tomorrow.